Alright, day two-ish, I guess. It's still the day number one of Brackeys Jam. And it is 8 p.m., it's the end of the day. I've spent most of the day um, being around and like kind of out. But when I sat down and kind of worked on the game or the concept, I've done work. I've done work. How far did I get though? So this video, this like the next hour, hopefully less, but probably an hour, will be about scoping down. And this is a good practice that I'm trying to learn better. And I think it's just such a hard thing to learn, especially if you're a very, very creative person. But it's about saying no to a lot of things, right? And kind of solidifying what are the clicks that the player goes through from start of the game to the end of the game, right? Um, so if you are interested in any of that, click through the video or just watch me do it. I really don't know how this is gonna go, but there's all of these notes that I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through and see where it ends up at. So let's start with where I was yesterday. So I do have a video about that, where I was yesterday. It's in the playlist that you can see on YouTube. It should be at least, depending on when you're watching it. Anyway, so I've ended up with two concepts and chose one, which was something with clones. I just liked the idea of clones, and for the sake of jamming, I'm just going with it, right? Just kind of pushing, even if it might be the wrong one. My goal for this jam is to make a pretty game. So, gameplay wise, I am happy to cut down a lot of mechanics, a lot of things that make a game in favor of spending, majority of time, which should be like 70% of the time, on making 3D, especially because that's what I want to practice. And, if I have to draw, I will draw, but a majority of it should be 3D and modeling and also VFX and stuff like that. Kind of making it pretty and like game feely, maybe animations, sort of a thing. Okay, that's allowed, I think. So let's start just pinching down what we had yesterday into smaller thing, right? So yesterday I just came up with the idea of something with clones, and since the theme is trust no one, a lot of people are thinking of detective games and deduction games and social kind of hacking or social deduction or social, whatever it is that has a trust embedded, and you're trying to get through it with questions or maybe some clues or whatever it is, right? So a primary example of this is Werewolf, very famous board game, card game, where two or one or several of players are tasked with killing someone else, or ideally the whole village, and they only can do that at night when everyone has closed eyes, and they do it with like pointing and making noise so no one knows like who's moving. Um, and then there's some extra roles in that game which kind of just like extend the functionality or the variety of the gameplay. Um, I think after today I've kind of arrived at the same thing to me. So with the clones, I'm trying to understand the two roles, and to me it has been that the original. So an original is the person that was cloned, and then you've got a bunch of clones that are also just clones, right? So the original is our werewolf. He's trying to kill all the clones for reasons, for lore reasons, while the clones are trying to survive through it and find out who the original is. I think the mistake I've done today is focusing too much on reasoning. I try to be very critical of my like world building, or like I don't even want to call it world building. It's just more of a like a narrative structure, or like why is someone doing something, right? And like it, you can always explain everything just like because they can, because they want to. But to me, it always breaks the immersion when you clearly see someone is doing something for the sake of the plot. And I think I've just seen too many movies, and that's why I noticed it so much. So that is a mistake I made today where I focused too much on it. So I did come up with something though. What is the best way to go about this though? Because there's a lot of notes. I'm not going to read through all of that stuff. At least not on the video. Maybe I will. I think that's kind of the point of this. Yeah. So I might like go through the thinking to remind myself. I also have like these sketches that probably don't show well, but oh, let me try this. I think I can mirror. No, it's gonna show. Yeah, I don't think it mirrors well. I don't know why, but my iPad stopped mirroring. Yeah. Which kind of sucks because it was working great yesterday. Maybe I'm on different Wi-Fi? Nope. Yeah, I don't know. But I could export it. Maybe that's the best way to do this. PDF. Choose PDF quality. Good, better, or best? Best. Only the best for you. All right. Those sketches are like, okay, they're not, you know, amazing, but they're also slanted or rotated, I guess, so. Oh no, how to be acrobat. I don't think that's what we want. Yeah, I don't even know how to rotate stuff in this. I just want to preview. I'll preview. There we go. Okay. Oh, it's just one slide? Oh, that sucks. I thought it's going to do all the slides. Okay, let me try again. Oh, I see. I got it. Okay. And there we go. It's a bigger file. That's a good sign. Cool. Oh, why are they like... Oh, I have to turn all of them. Is that how it works? I don't know. Oh, funny. Dang it. There we go. Okay. All right. I might want to get up for this. I'm a little... too much walking today. Watch me crawl out. Crawl out of my sofa. Okay. Grab a drink. Oh, tired today. Okay. We can do this. I believe we can do this. Let me see what we're recording. We look good. I look okay. But you guys and gals. Okay. Okay. So, if it's a werewolf and we have clones and original, the thinking I've done today was, why is the original trying to kill the clones, and why are the clones trying to kill the original, or why they are trying to even like reveal each other, right? That was kind of the key question. So if the goal of the game is, sorry, bubbly water. If the goal of the game is to find out who the original is, why does it matter, right? So in my head, it matters because lore, right? And that's where I got really deep into like, well, there's, and I wrote so many things that I don't even remember which ones were like interesting, right? And that's, I think, one of the problems like with brainstorming a lot and then trying to talk about it right away. Ideally, I would let this sit for like a day and do something else, but I want to push through. So we'll see how it works. Okay, maybe let's start there. So I had this little like scene in my mind where you kind of have like this professor looking dude with big glasses that shows up, and it's like this tape from almost like a like infomercial, or yeah, it has like infomercial vibe of like, and it's like this professor is like, hello, if you're watching this, it means you've got problem with clones, or you've got your, you're trying to figure out what to do when you clone yourself. um, and then the professor turns, maybe like he says hello, and then he gets knocked with a little boink by a bat, and it's another professor that's comes in, and like, oh, it's actually like whoever was talking first was the copy. Maybe, we don't know. So I had this like professor kind of a deal like in my head, and I'm thinking like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, just because it's a very known character. Like this guy, right? Kind of the, you know, crazy but smart, sort of a classic archetype. Um, so I was thinking of that guy, and then I was thinking like, okay, well maybe you are one of them as well, right? So this scene is just you watching this, getting the title screen basically, and then from there it says like, okay, well, what to do, and it starts going through the rules. So it kind of gives you very seamless transition into what is the goal of the game, and sets the tone as well. And it's very full of art, which is what I want to be doing. So I was like, cool, that works. So that's kind of locked in a way. Like how I'm gonna do it, if it's like a video screen, or if it's something you're watching through like a double pane window, like maybe that's gonna change. But I would build it the same way, and it would just change how I post process it, or where does it show up. Like I think those to me is phase two of like what happens there. But the characters would remain the same, and it might just change how much detail they need. Um, okay, so if we have this character, and he says like, "Oh, you got a problem with clones, or something with clones, blah blah blah," and then he explains the first rule, right? For example, and I don't know in which order they're gonna come up, the rules. I had like, well, you might be a clone. Let's start with that, right? Disregard that. I think like none of these or all of these will in some fashion show up again. But one of them was like, don't watch this with any of your clones. Um, and and at that point, I was like, maybe like there's like a zoom out if you're watching it on TV, and then you're literally watching it with all the clones. So it's hitting all the like very obvious jokes, but make people happy. It made me smile, so I was like, fuck it, let's do it that way. Um, yeah, and then I started thinking like, okay, well, how do you recognize clones? Like, how do you spot the clones, right? And then there's a billion ways of doing this. From the body is different, so it might have some marks, and you have to recognize it. To maybe they have some tick. Maybe if you're a little bit more creative, I was saying they might have not all of your talents, such as you can play the piano but they don't, or the original can play the piano but you don't. Um, and I picked piano because I could play a few notes, so that would kind of work out. Or you can download a like a free open source version of some sort of a classical piece of music, um, or just be very dumb with it and it plays like a Skrillex song. I don't know. Um, what were the other things I was thinking of? Yeah, there was a bunch that I have like scattered throughout here. Yeah, like maybe allergies, food, like how they behave with animals, and like just things that I could model. And they don't have to be like, it could be wacky, right? It could be like a dog that's supposed to be a dog. You can just call it a dog. It doesn't look like a dog. It just makes a way for me to make a model of an weird animal. Um, so that was kind of the thinking around that, like having models that I can make and just show them, and there's a reaction by the clone to that. And based off of that, the player can make a decision. Oh, you're a clone, or you're not a clone. But from there, it goes into like, okay, well, if I'm still thinking first person, like kind of view, but I don't want it to be like, here's a clone, recognize if they're yes or no clone, right? That was not where I was heading with that. It's just, to me, it's very boring. I just wanted more like, it's a room and you can walk around in it, and it's filled with objects, right? Which immediately, scope goes like this. And I was even thinking like, you have several rooms, but that already is reduced into, no, it's one big room. That's where you fell into that cloning machine, or maybe there's the cloning machine somewhere. It's like a small thing. Maybe you just like drank something and that was the clone. It wasn't like a machine. Um, anyway, it's one room and it's filled with these clones, and I think it's like good for filling it up with items and making it interesting. But it also allows for one thing, which is I want there to be like blackouts. And the scene in every movie, like Clue has that movie, the movie Clue, where the light goes off, someone dies. The light goes on, and you see the dead body, and everyone has the reaction of like, oh no, right? And they're pretending to be like, oh no, what happened? And you don't know who's killing them. So I think I'm going with the dramatic of like someone is being killed just to kind of increase the stakes, but also to keep things moving. And it's a very traditional kind of way of doing whodunit, because if people are just pointing at each other and nothing happens, there's just a lot of dialogue, and like I don't want to write all that dialogue. I do want to focus more on visuals, so hence people or clones dying. Okay, so we have one room, right? We have number of clones, and we have the original. Are you playing the original? Debatable. So my mind, when like you don't know if you're the original or if you're the clone, and also this is single player. If it's not clear, like it would probably be more fitting to be a not a single player game. But as I said yesterday, like it's a jam. You don't want to make a multiplayer game. So it is a single player experience, right? And I'm trying to find the fun in the single player, what normally would be multiplayer. And maybe that's like the fun innovation on it. And there's probably a billion games that have already done it, but I don't want to be researching instead of building things. So anyway, moving on. One room, there's a bunch of clones. There's a you. Okay, there's a bunch of people in it. Let's call it that. I'm confusing myself. So let's say there's, 15 characters or 12 of the same characters, right? And they're all just like standing there. And let's think just the basic pieces without like they're not doing anything, right? What are the clicks that have to happen? So I am pulled back as a character, and my first person view, and there's 12 characters plus me, right? And the video basically told me who find the original, right? Now the problem I have is like, okay, how do I find it? Like what determines who is original, right? So one thing is to look for more of these tapes or more of the clues and kind of the guidebook on how to find the origin, right? Those can be 1 bit, so it could be like, they might have left some marks on their body to let themselves know, like, I am the original, right? Like just writing it on themselves. But everyone else could have done that, or they could have killed them and hidden the body and made themselves write it on themselves, right? So they could be faking it already. Which theme is do not trust anyone and trust no one. So like anytime we create more lies, it's good, right? More deception. So in that room now, I need some objects, right? If there's just one object that I go to and I click on it and it tells me the clue, great, I can progress, right? Maybe it tells me like in the simplest version, it is the original is number 3, right? And maybe they all have like a number above their head. And I go over to number 3, I click, and it says, you're right, that was the original. Game over, right? Like that's the simplest version. That doesn't sound a lot of fun, but it is the loop, right? So how can I complicate that path? But that is the simplest scope, just to be clear, like, right? Like just having all the elements, and I have to find the object, and then I have to find the matching piece, I guess. It could be a bit of a clue, right? So it doesn't have to be like, it is 3. It could be like one of those, like, it's less than 5, but it's more, more than 2. So it's between 2 and 5. Inclusive, not inclusive, right? How do you determine number? Like they're standing in a line, maybe they start moving. So maybe there's like a simple pathing, which I did wanted to try. There's a library in Godot that I wanted to try, but that gets into mechanics, and like again, I'm not trying to do that this jam, so putting on the side. Okay. So since we're doing a lot of objects, let's say we're gonna have 10 different objects, and like next to the character as well, right? So it would be repeatable objects, like let's see, what's common objects? Usually have like books. Those are easy to model. You would have like cutlery, or you would have like dishware. I'm just looking around because that's what usually people have. Be like pillows, if it's like a sofa thing. Is it like a one room home, or is it like a laboratory? Right? If it's like a lab, then it's more of a like glasses, some like weird devices, like boxy, buttony things. I think in a lab you get a lot more into less repeatable things. Depends, I guess. Like every corner is kind of like a little bit different, and you have to model a billion different tools. I don't know if I want to make a lot of tools. I think I'm feeling more like a lab that someone lives in, and that's kind of the vibe. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's like a lab. Yeah, I think it's like something went wrong, hence the blackouts, and you were like jacked into some sort of a thing like that's cloning you, and that's why like, oh, that's what broke, right? So maybe that's also what's triggered the video, right? So you're gonna wake up into the video because that's what triggered it. Like, oh, it looks like there was a blackout, or like, when you're like updating your software, maybe that's kind of what it is. Like you were updating your human software, and the power cut out, and now it's telling you like, oh, it cloned you. Sorry, like we're so sorry about that. Um, I guess that's kind of funny. Okay. So in that case, we have like a coffee table, right? And then yeah, like a sofa, like a very homey, like maybe like a chair. Is it like futuristic? I like the idea of what I had here, which is very retro-y, like Italian disco is kind of what I'm feeling. So it's things that are like very shaped in a way that's unexpected for especially modern technology. Ignore this. That's kind of the beginning where You look at everyone. This was me thinking about, oh yeah, you could have like speakers, music. Okay, maybe there's like like a recording that you've made for yourself. Very common thing again, right? Like you would have left yourself a note. Maybe there is a note on like a medicine cabinet or something. Maybe you go to the bathroom. Maybe you put the seat down, and on top of the seat, maybe it's like behind the door, right? So like when you actually close the door, maybe it's a sliding door and there's like a note on it. Maybe it's like the window when you like fog it up. So you turn on the hot water. So you turn on the water, you have to push it to be hot. That fogs the window. And then on the window or the mirror, um, it says like, whatever, like how to recognize, like, yeah, like why would, I don't know, like how would that help you? Like if you're the clone, that's not a very good way of telling me the message. And if you're the real person, if you're OG, the original, how am I? Um, yeah. But anyway, okay. I think this is kind of like where I'm thinking in terms of sequencing. So, okay. So in terms of scope, I'm definitely thinking a lot of pieces, as you can tell. But I would start with a few that are very repeatable so I can create a lot of things. Um, and then I would get into smaller pieces that create variety, right? So I can put like paintings on the wall, like those are easy to like swap out because it's just a very simple, like a board. I don't want to download a lot of placeholders since again my focus is making the actual art, or yeah, let's call it art. As you can tell, I'm an artist. Um, Okay, I'm not going to do that. I had an idea with like a photo book, so you would take like the picture of people and then put them in like and figure it out through the air, kind of. But it was too. I want to focus on the world rather than like you being inside of a book. Okay, that's a different start of the whole thing. And then these were just like, yeah, if they're wandering, they're like throwing. Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, what if the clones are actually walking around and they're like also like looking for shit, right? Because it kind of feels weird that you're the only one that's like moving around while all the clones are just like chilling. So I think some basic, I don't know if it's AI necessarily, like not LLM AI, but like the like, pathfinding. And just create like a simple path between like for like a few spots and they just switch out. So like maybe it's like, okay, well you're here and you're walking over to the kitchen, right? And the guy in the kitchen is relieving that spot and going somewhere else. So have like there's 12 people, have 15 or like 20 spots where they can stand, and when they stand there, there's like an action associated with it, right? Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot. I'm aware of that, right? So I would not start with that many. I would start with 4 or 3 clones, right? Like the lowest I could do is 1 clone, right? Like there's one original and there's 1 clone, but I think that doesn't build enough drama, right? Like 3 or 4 total with you is probably like a good start. Yeah, I think that's a good start of a scope. So 4, because what I want to do is um, every time there's a blackout, one of the clones or one of the characters dies. And the lore of it is that the OG is killing them, right? Like the original is killing them. So if we go back to the goals of the game, in my mind, I wrote it somewhere separately. I have so many like lore, as I said, things that I felt like I don't know why I focused on it so much today. Yeah, so no, no, that's not it. Um, what a mess. Oh, it's even. Okay, so the premise is don't get caught killing others. That's the same for everyone, right? If you get caught, you are immediately targeted by everyone. Because the original will think, well, he's a killer. Well, the clones. I was gonna say the clones will think that only the original is killing, right? And I had this whole rule that the clones cannot kill the original, so they're only killing themselves. But then I was like, wait, that's like, why would the original just wait out? But then, if the clones don't know who the original is, and they also win when they kill the original, I guess they're winning at all times. Yeah, I'm not very good at like these headbendy rule sets. Okay, let me write down what I've said so far. So for characters, so like clones plus one original. I did, by the way, I did have a version where I just had like, what if everyone is a clone? But I felt it doesn't have like the narrative drama that I think it like just adds enough to make that distinction. And when I got into the gameplay, as you were just seeing, it doesn't change gameplay too much to have clones and original. Like they're kind of have the same incentives, which is just to get rid of everyone. While I am discussing internally, like, okay, well, the clones might have more of an incentive not to get rid of all the other clones and only go after the original. And the original has all the incentives to go after the clones. Yeah. I did like think if like just arbitrary rule, right, which was like if original if clones like a time limit basically. Don't kill original by X time, they will perish. And you can figure out whatever that is, right? Like a deep written lore of that world. So several, let's say it's 7 spots to so that's the environment we have. Okay, so one model or one character share across with variations in texture. Reading backgrounds. And I think I do want the characters to pick up different like glosses or whatnot to build the narrative again a little bit, and it's easier for the player to tell them apart. Plus, gameplay-wise, I was thinking if you start suspecting a guy in the red glasses and then someone dies, it's not the guy in the red glasses. But what if someone just took the red glasses, right? What if they put them on? And you're like, that's weird. Now there's a guy with red glasses, but he has the tattoo that the guy without the red glasses had. So it starts combining that way very cheaply because you just, there's dark, you switch out the models, put them in a position, and it's really just about the awareness of the player who has to always inspect everyone, kind of. Is it fun? I don't know. I'm gonna try that and see, I think. I don't want to try to judge that on paper or whatever this is called nowadays. Okay, so that's kind of the asset, and there's like some music and whatnot, but so we need like 20 plus items from books to pillows, cups, kitchen, bathroom. Those are more inspirations, like not very given, but kind of to give an idea of what needs to get created. Okay. Okay. So that would come with some music, as I said, or like sound effects. Yeah, there's the bunch of clues that you find. There's some narrative. Simple dialogues. I was thinking of not having like actual dialogues, but having just like icons to talk to each other. And that might be better. I think it's like more fun if you just have like emotes to kind of get through it. But it was weird in a way of watching that video early on, the guy's talking. So I had to figure out like, okay, well, how do I say the same story with the same kind of impact without saying any of the words? Then I was thinking maybe it doesn't fucking matter and I'm overthinking it. So when I get to it, I'll figure it out. Right? Okay. Cool. All right, let's get into mechanics. Or like the puzzles or whatnot. All right. Cool. So, oh, that was scary. Just freaking Siri talking to me. Shh. Chill. Chill, Siri. I wanted to talk to you. Okay. So, you win as a clone. You win as an OG. You lose as a clone. You lose as an OG when what, right? Start with the cloning. So let's say everyone is a clone and you're just trying to find the original. So let's say the first version, which is the minimal, is that you're always the clone, right? That removes out of the minimum scope. So we still have an OG, it's just not you. You think it's you, but it's not. It never is. I think people will expect that, but that's okay. We can throw them off. So that limits the game into this, right? You can never win or lose as an OG because you can never be an OG. So you win as a clone when, let's see, what are the conditions? So when the OG dies, and is it like everyone else is alive? Is that okay? So if the moment you recognize the OG and kill them, what does the game do, right? Like, does the game just like, you win, the clones have discovered OG. Somewhat anticlimactic. What would be more dramatic? What would be like a dramatic event? Like, what led to it maybe is like, what is the lead up to it, right? I had to find, so, okay, let's start with the easy one. I had just to guess. And the way I guess is, I guess, how do you actually say someone, oh, you have to like take them out? Is there a gun in this? Like, no, I don't think there's gonna be like a gun. I think that might be like the fun fact of this game. Maybe there is a gun with just one bullet or something, and it opens up only in like the worst scenarios. And I think just having weapons that are one use limits the, yeah, I think there would be like a limited number of weapons, right, within the scenario. I think this game is, like, as I'm describing it, incredibly boring to people that have played something like Among Us, because it probably has all of these thoughts through it, and I have not played it. So I'm just reinventing the wheel, but whatever. I said that yesterday too. If they've done it well, probably means you can replicate it and learn something from it, or just end up with something that might be slightly different and different enough to be interesting on its own. All right, so all the weapons are one use. So let's say there's like a knife, maybe there's like a pen, there's like a rat poison. Like, let's just do the classics for now. Like a bleach. Some dark thoughts I have. Maybe there's like a piano chord. There's like a hammer, maybe a drill. Like a knife and fork. I don't have a knife, but like maybe like a wrench. Something heavy that would fall on your head, like a workout dumbbell. There's a lot of objects that can kill you in a household, huh? I didn't realize. I think maybe it's just like a combination of things. So like toaster in water. Yeah, drowning. But they have to be like kills that are fast, right? So like something like Yeah, I think they need to be all fast. They can be like, it's. I think it doesn't matter. Also, like if it's a death by strangling, and that would normally take a while and be very loud, and it takes 3 seconds during the dark, I think that's fine. I don't think that matters as much, right? As long as it's like progressing. For the movie, it's call it movie magic or game magic. Okay, so all of these would be there like once, and they would basically disappear out of the. So if there's a knife in the knife block on the kitchen counter, and then it's used as a weapon in one of the killings, not by the player necessarily, right? Like by any of those agents that are there, then it would disappear out of there, right? So you're like, oh shit, the knife is gone. Oh shit, the knife is inside someone's body. So you cannot use it next time, and it kind of limits your options as you go. Maybe it's like more like a musical chairs, where because you're rotating around the places with the AI agents, you are trying to be close to a weapon to kill someone. It's kind of boring, honestly, on the paper. It's just like, okay, well, I just want to be close to a weapon, and when the time rises, I want to grab it. But it's also like the darkness comes out of nowhere. So you have to be like, oh, it's coming up in 5 seconds. And there's like indicators for it. And then it more becomes about the killing than the mistrust. But maybe it's good. Maybe it keeps the mechanics easy and lets me do art. Maybe that's what it is about, right? Technically. I'll write it down. Okay. Coming back to... You win as a clone when the OG dies. So... let's write out all the scenarios. And all clones and at least one clone is alive. So do you have to be alive if you are the clone? So if you're the clone, maybe like you getting killed, you just jump into another body. But like, I don't think that matters, because let's just not kill you. Like, you're never at risk of being killed. Like, isn't that like kind of boring then? Right? Like, if you know you're not gonna get killed, but you're seeing everyone else being killed, maybe the anticipation is good enough. Like, oh, everyone is getting whacked out. But like, it's good for you, right? Because the more clones, if you're a clone and the OG is coming for you, you have less protection if there's less clones. So that's not good. And you're trying to figure out which one is it. Let's say it ends up being one-on-one, because you'll always get to at least one-on-one, because if you just let it go and no one ever kills you, you can just watch. Yeah, no, you have to be in danger. Like, there has to be... Yeah, otherwise it's kind of boring. So like you know, like it's just 1% chance on the first one, but it's like maybe 10% chance, or like 5% chance on the second one, 8, 15, and then, you know, it kind of rises from there. If it's like 8 people or whatever. If it's less, it would be 1 to 10 to 50, because the fourth one, yeah, I think that's like more like... Because the fourth one would definitely be you, because it's the OG killing either you or the other clone killing you. Because they're not going to kill you. They could kill each other. So the OG could kill that guy who was trying to kill him. But I think there's only always going to be one death. I think there's... Yeah, you know, like, maybe I'm restricting it too much right away, but... Okay, so now that we've established that you can die along the way, what do we get? So the rule is, you're a clone, you win if the OG dies, and at least one clone is alive. So that's usually you, right? At least you are alive. Which should always happen, that you're at least alive, because if you've done the killing yourself, or if the other clone killed the OG, then you win. I think it's anticlimactic again, that if basically you're there and you're not the one that kills the original, yeah, it's kind of like you haven't done anything, right? You kind of went in for the ride. Like with this new percentage-based approach, we could make you be killed by the other clone at all times, so they always mess it up, right? Maybe it's the billiard, whatever you want to call it, pool rules, and the OG is the black um, um, ball, where you have to get the black ball last one, because otherwise you lose. It's just, that's the rules, right? So the clones are trying to kill each other first and then kill the OG, while the OG is killing all the clones. Which would revert my rule. Like, I would rather have more characters in there that are killing each other than a few. But okay, we can play around with that. Like, versus many more characters in scene, but multi-kill allowed. Now, with all of that said, do we allow for killing outside of the blackout, right? And also, how does it look like for the player? Because if the player can actually do anything or see anything during the blackout, like that's kind of defeats the purpose, right? Because they're seeing what's happening, and like the whole idea is that I can do things that they don't see. So they would have to like prep it. They would have to like create a trap, basically, instead of grabbing a knife and pushing into someone. You're the pacifist. You could be just like standing next to someone, and like because they're there, could have that option. Could be like a menu. There could be like just like lines, like a special view, like just like outlines or something that you see during that phase. You could pick them. Actually, that's a possibility, right? You could pick them like a tag during the day phase, basically. Okay, so that kind of creates this tension, I think, because it basically says it's like there is another werewolf version which I've used to play, which is Palermo, which I don't know how it translates. Maybe it's the same in English, but essentially it's you roam around the room, and there is these weapons, right? Like made up weapons, and you're mafiosos and you're villagers or whatever, and the mafiosos are trying to get rid of the villagers. And you do that with weapons. So you would walk around, because so in this game you're looking for a clue to who is the original, right? So you have to roam, basically. Like that is the rule. Like you have to roam, and the more you roam, the more you are in contact with the people and with the environment, which is all the objects. And if you're near some, you can like mark them, right? So if you're close to them, you can basically like click on them, and you don't like pick them up, but basically you're saying, in the next dark blackout, use this weapon on this person, right? And then it just happens during that. Maybe there is like some sort of a, yeah, no, that's building mechanic. But I was thinking of like hierarchy of weapons and like who goes first. Because if everyone else is doing it and then there can be multi-kill, it creates this like chaotic rule set, which could be fun, but probably more than I want to do for this jam. Right, so also it would be like a distance from your target. So basically, if I am here and someone is over there, and the night comes in or the blackout comes in, I like need the time to get there, right? And it's always the same maximum of the blackout, so I'm not walking actually. But if I'm there and it takes me 3 seconds, but someone is right next to me and they pick me as a target, they will kill me faster than I can get to them. Right, so it just calculates the distance between me to them, and the same for everyone else that picked their target and their weapon. Yeah, I think that's more of a like the gameplay of, I don't know, has Among Us is that how that game works? Like I actually don't know. I'll be honest. Because I know of it. I've played none of it, but I've seen a bunch of it. Let me mute the most annoying video probably. Oh, good old Smissy. Or Smitty. Okay, so there's the voting. Oh, they've got the imposter voting thing. Right. Okay, so there's going to be an imposter, and you're all trying to figure out who the imposter is, right? Which is an alien that's like killing everyone. And they're talking, and then they have 10 seconds to vote. They're like, and then that kills them. So it's not you killing someone, it's collectively you're saying like it has to be him. That means we're gonna kill him and lynch him, right? And you don't know if it is him or if he's like lying. So it's one of those. Okay. And yeah, and you lose if the imposter remains as the last one, right? So that's the same principle here. So you lose as a clone if the OG So we could keep it simple and like when the OG dies, I'm just going in my head through the game. That's what's happening right now. Let me draw out what I'm thinking. Like I'll do it on the screen. Try it here. Let's open up Affinity. What I am thinking. Alright. So can I get rid of this? I don't know how, but I would like to get rid of that. Let's try to use this one. How big is it? That's fine. I don't think we need stabilizer. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So I'm thinking if it's like one big room, right? And then you have a position here, maybe you have like position here, 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 and then here. And maybe we're gonna have like a character that is pinkish, right? We're gonna have character that's like blue, purplish, and one that's like so. Okay. Oh, we're missing the weapons. So let's say also, I'm not gonna separate out those, but let's say there's a knife here. It's more of a dagger. Let's say there's the dumbbell here, and I didn't want to have any weapon like a gun. What did I say I have? Like a poison? Let's just do like a vial. That's a horrible vial, but yeah. Totally a poison. I could not. I would forget what it is. There you go. Poison. All right. Okay. So that's our one room, right? And we're like, we've got 3 guys. There's 3 weapons. So maybe like we need just like 1 weapon at that time. Like that's debatable. Like how much you want to limit it. But one of them is the OG, right? So the 2 other ones are clones. And in our game, as I said, it's limited that you're definitely a clone. So let's say these 2 are clones. And this one is the original. And based on everything you have learned, so let's say you're the pink one or magenta one, whatever this color is. And in this case, you know, your goal, since you're a clone, is to pick the right one, because if you kill, so if it was like a werewolf, basically werewolves win when, not that they're the last ones to remain, but there is the same number of basically if you could vote against each other with the same votes, it would result in everyone dying in a tie. So once that case happens, the werewolves win. So if there's 2 werewolves in the game, there's 2 villagers, the werewolves have won already, right? You don't have to go into less than. So in this case, it would be the similar rule where the clone that you are, if you get rid of, because you don't know who you're getting rid of, you're just risking it, and get rid of the clone, which is this guy, the OG has won. So that's how that would just work out, right? Since it's automated, if this guy actually gets rid of us, it's the same problem, right? So it's some ability to tell clones, hey, don't kill me. I kind of want to add that. I think that's like an interesting, I know it's a mechanic, but there's a whole lore I have why the clones want to stick together, by the way. But yeah, I have like both versions of why they want to kill each other, why they want to stick together. Okay. So let's say there is a way for me to tell the robot, the AI clone, like, hey, don't kill me. And it's just I have found a piece of evidence that shows, look at this guy. I am the original, in which I totally don't have like a tattoo or something. Or it's just like a piece. Maybe it's like the OG is allergic to peanuts, and I find peanuts and I like eat the peanut in front of the guys, right? But it would show to everyone, like it would show to the original as well. So like the OG would not be looking. I think the problem with like one room is that there's no like secret spaces. I think the room does need to have some sort of a like separations. At least like 3, I think, is my thinking. So you have the door kind of, maybe like the audio kind of gets through. That is totally how you do notes. Anyway, so maybe like these are the doors between these 2 rooms. You can hear like audio through the walls because they're thin walls, but it gives you some space to be like, hey, let's go into this room. And it also gives a better flow to revealing dead people. Like if if they're not in the main space where you were, you're like, wait, what happened? Maybe something along those lines. Okay. Okay, so we are both trying to kill this guy. Do I know it's this guy? If I know it's this guy, all I have to do is go close to this weapon and then go close to them, right? They cannot really escape anywhere in this. If I have to be close to them to kind of mark them, let's say this guy's like trying to like escape me, right? So like he doesn't want to be anywhere near me. So the robot, which is the OG, would have to be like, oh, I don't want to be near there. I want to like be near here, and the function is find the furthest away point from wherever player is. But like they cannot go through the wall or anything. So they kind of get bumped into me here anyway. So maybe we do want to create like more of a loopy environment. So it gives us a way to escape. It could be like a balcony. And it has a door through here too. Right, so I can now like the guy can like go around basically and escape me if I have to like chase them, which is a little bit more dramatic and climatic, I think, right? Like going back to what I said like 20 minutes ago, like what is the climatic end? And this is kind of the ending. So if you don't know what I was doing for the last 20 minutes talking to myself, it was trying to figure out like what is the kind of ending of this, right? That's why I have just 3 guys. And because that's the end scenario in this case, right? I think the OG being with 1 clone always means a win. Because if you have to be close to the enemy and they are going to be close to you, it's always going to be a tie, right? in like this very simplistic rule, like who goes first, and you can just set it up as well as being like OG goes first at all times, and it's all the same. Like it's just, I guess, missing the, but like obviously the OG knows who they are and the clone knows who they are, so they're gonna go after each other. It doesn't matter at that point if the goal of the game is to just kill. Yeah, I do wish like so I'm reducing scope. That's the point of this. But obviously, I've had thought of different things outside of like, oh, what if they're not trying to kill each other? You're just talking through it and all those niceties. But drama in games is a good thing, and it's what you want. So you kind of want that moment of this guy chasing this guy, and he's like, oh no, I don't want to be caught, right? So it's like this whole like it's that whole like door scene. Could be kind of funny as well, like, maybe there's like a closet, and there's a closet here, like, and they are kind of connected. It's that whole like, I love that every time I open this now, it's just this crazy guy. I don't know which is gonna pick one, but not that. Yeah, I don't know how to call it actually. It has a name. It's basically the one where like you enter one door but you exit the other door. Well, I cannot think of it, but that's what it is. It's a Scooby-Doo shit. Okay. Okay, so like that's an ending where I know who they are, and oh shit, I have like screwed up. Oops. Yeah, keep these sketches clean. No, throw it away. So you're chasing the guy, right? And I know it's this guy because I have found some clues. And those clues would be in the environment, right? And the environment is telling me they look like this, they have this, or maybe their pattern of behavior has been very clear. I do not like that I have to create now like whole AI thing of the actors going around. It is something I wanted to practice as well, so it's not that bad. It's something I wanted to try, but I feel like it's going to take away from a lot of the art I wanted to do, so it's a very complex game. It is a very complex game. Definitely more complex than just having a, here's a guy and inspect them, and they have a different model a little bit, so that's why they're not good. Next one, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I can reduce more. I think like I wanted to follow through with this idea and just see where it goes. It's not the worst, and if it was like a smaller team, I think it's very much possible in a week if everyone is doing full time, but it's too much. It's just unnecessarily too much with the focus I have. Right? Because it's going to take me like 3 days to make it right for people to like move around in a way that I want and figure out the points they're going to. and I just want to like sit down and like be a whole day or like couple days in Blender. That's all I want to do. Okay. I think we're gonna pivot out of this. Like related to it, so the things I like, right? Like I don't like to kill the whole thing if I don't have to. I want to like push through, as I said. Where was the scope I had? It was like a, yeah, here. Characters. So it wasn't 4 characters, it was 1 character model, right? Shared between all of them. Oh, yeah, I actually have it. I have it right here. So what can I do with that without having to build all of these, like, they have to move around and all that shit? What if only the player moves and everyone else is static, right? Or they're kind of like, maybe they're changing positions in between the blackouts, right? So they're not really moving around looking for shit. That removes all of the AI part, right? And it's like kind of fine. It's like every blackout, people just kind of move to new positions, and then they stay there. And maybe it's not that every blackout someone dies to kind of make it more dynamic, but like sometimes they die, sometimes they don't, right? And you kind of have to like keep up on your toes because it's not every single time. But they don't. It's like almost like a stop motion sort of a deal where like they're not moving around at all, right? They have like an animation loop that they are in while they are at their spot, or maybe you can chat with them through the emotes. What are they doing, right? Like, it's very, like, if someone dies there and they're actively trying to, so here's where I know I'm overthinking, right? But like the weirdness of this is that if people are dying around you and you're doing what? You're just like sitting on a sofa and like waiting it out, pretending nothing happened. Like that's suspicious as fuck, right? And like I think that plays against the feeling of the what the player is kind of looking for, as in they're just gonna assume it was the guy on the couch that's the chillest, right? And then if you go the other way where everyone is like, oh no, what happened? And everyone is standing around the dead body every single time. You're like, what is the game, right? Then it's like, okay, I have to click on this guy and ask them, where were you? Or remember where they were. Maybe it's like 3-phased and it's always like they're around the dead body. And the next phase, they're kind of like just chilling. Maybe they are looking for like clues and stuff, and then they switch around these positions. And that could be randomized easily because if they're not moving, I could do like after the first death, which was random, this guy is now here, and then this guy is by the library. This guy is in the bath. Yeah. Okay. I like this tight. Okay. I like this like tight thinking I have around this whole deduction sort of a movie, but I think I'm gonna pivot out of it. I think I'm keeping the clones, but I think I'm gonna go like way more arcadey than like, yeah, I think I want more something just like lighthearted because this is getting. I tried it for a day. I think I can salvage half of it in terms of the professor character, kind of the narrative setup. and kind of the feeling I got. I think I build up like a little bit of that, but I don't think I want to do anything with the like whole deduction thing. Like it's interesting, but you know, it's just taking me on like a very mechanical sort of a puzzle game. And my focus is like I just want to make a bunch of models that are kind of running around and a bunch of VFX that are going to trigger and have a good game feel, right? And that's more of like an arcade game or you know, so like running around and like pushing people. Like that's more of what I'm trying to look for. And if these characters are just like have a basic simple AI to be reactive to the environment, um, like if it's yeah, I don't want to build a freaking Vampire Survivor in first person like Megabonk is that first person? It's not like it's third person, yeah. Well, the whole other idea I had was with like salespeople, but like in a world of clones, can you trust yourself? And they're like showing up with items that are weird, and they're trying to sell it to you. Um, and you're just saying no to everything. And it's like to me, that's like, what is the game, right? It's not even that. It was like, okay, here's this model, here's this model, and you're saying no. But if you say no too many times, something happens. Oh boy. I think I'm in an hour. Probably over, huh? Oh yeah, an hour 20. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a break from thinking too hard about the game. I've scoped it down to nothing. That's good. But hey, if this was useful in any way, let me know. There is a comment there. If you made it this far, thanks. If you're doing Brackeys jam, good luck. Um, if you're doing any other jam right now, good luck as well. I will check in tomorrow. I will check in tomorrow with a gameplay, I think. That's what I need to create, so I'll get into that. So yeah.